Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another episode of The Lair of the Phoenix. I am, as always, your host, James Phoenix. And tonight we are here to talk about Power Rangers Dino Charge. Power Rangers, Power Rangers. Alright. Joining me to talk today about Power Rangers Dino Charge, specifically episodes 1 through 5, we have...
Of which you've only seen 4.
What's that?
I said of which you've only seen 4.
Yes, I haven't seen episode 5 yet. I'm very behind, which is very sad on my part. I have to get the time order cable access thing so I can log in at nick.com and watch the rest of the episodes.
And how sad is that the biggest Power Ranger fan here and the only member of the three of us that's on the Power Force is the one that's seen the least amount of Dino Charge?
Wait, you haven't seen episode 5 yet? You need to. It's where you find out Vader's Luke's dad.
Ha! Nice.
Oh god, I just spoil it.
He shouldn't be Power Force.
Sorry, did I just spoil it?
I'm sorry, I work on Saturdays when the episodes air, and they don't like to make them available. They used to be on Hulu where I could watch them. Well, they didn't get the contract this year, so they're not.
But you also have DVR, which I don't have.
No, I don't have DVR.
He doesn't have DVR. He doesn't have DVR, someone else does. Also, he will be catching up because it won't be long. In a couple of weeks' time, they'll probably, by before Christmas, they'll probably have the first half of the season up on Netflix.
Perhaps.
And I would like to point out they've never had them on Hulu because when I went back to watch, when I went back to watch Dino Charge on Hulu, it redirected it to Nick. So they've never had Power Rangers on Hulu. It's always been directed from Hulu to Nick. Then you have to log in via your cable provider.
No.
The reason I thought they would, Jim, is I know you didn't have Netflix at this time last year and stuff. After joining Super Megaforce, same thing with Megaforce, same thing with Super Samurai and Samurai. After like the first 13 episodes, during that halfway point, they have the first 13 up, and then at the end they have the next 13 up.
Fair enough. Netflix, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but
I was talking about Netflix.
But no, up until yes, but no, up until the end of Super Megaforce, Hulu had a contract to have the episodes of Power Rangers on Hulu. But if you go there, Dino Charge is not on there. Only the previous seasons are, because they didn't get the contract this year.
I said I was talking about Netflix.
I know, but I'm correcting Marcus, not you.
Which I can tell you is bullshit. I can tell you it's bullshit because I have Hulu Plus, and I've searched for Dino Charge. That's where then they had at the time that I looked, which was I think shortly after they had wrapped up the first half of the season or so. And they went on their break. They had, like, let's see, it's what, eight episodes, right? So they had, like, at least 5 of the episodes there. The other episodes I had to go, and I know Mole's going to hurt on this, I had to go to YouTube because it was no longer up on Nick, which is the reason why it wasn't on Hulu. Because when I went onto Hulu, it showed, certain episodes, and I'll say, okay, well, I'll just watch these on Hulu, and I could probably find the other ones, like, bootlegged on YouTube or some shit.
And I will say, yes, Mo will frown upon that because you shouldn't be an entitled prick. You should just wait and then watch it later on because it would be available on either Hulu or Netflix or Amazon Prime or something at a later date.
But as I was saying, if you let me finish, Hulu, when it showed it up on Hulu, I was like, okay, I'll click on it, and I clicked on it, and it basically redirected to Nick to where you had to log in with your cable provider to watch it, and I was like, oh. Okay, so Hulu doesn't technically have it. They just have a link to Nickelodeon where they're streaming it. So I logged in with my DirecTV account and I watched it on Nick.
Yeah.
With the episodes that Nick still had.
Yeah.
Now, but I was responsible to the frown on this. I watched it on YouTube illegally like an entitled prick.
No, I said I watched the episodes that Nick no longer had up, which I didn't understand why, because they have like episode like say 1, 2, and 3 up, and then like episode 4 for whatever reason they didn't have, and then they had like episode 5, and I'm like, well, I'm not just gonna watch them out of order just because Nick decided they're gonna take a couple of the episodes down. I want to watch these in order. So the ones that I could watch on Nick, I watched on Nick. The ones that Nick for whatever reason didn't have up, I said, well, I'm binge watching this thing. I'm pretty sure they have them on YouTube somewhere that I can watch really quick, and so I did that. I tried to watch them on Nick, but if Nick doesn't have them up there, what am I gonna do?
Wait until they come on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Or through some sort of legal way of watching them.
Amazon Prime does not have Power Rangers, and I don't have Netflix, and I don't plan to get Netflix. If Amazon Prime had Power Rangers, I would have waited for that. I looked on Amazon Prime too. The only place I found it was Hulu, and then I found out Hulu just redirected to Nick. Yeah, I was trying to find any other legal way aside from Nick because I hate going through their player because their player's a piece of shit. But I had no choice. I was like, okay, well, I'll watch what I can through Nick. But like I said, there was just some random episodes in the middle, just an episode here and there that for whatever reason Nick did not have up on their site. So I said, okay. For 1 or 2 episodes, I can go watch it on,
Yeah, I was just saying to the people out there with a conscience to always support the official release.
When you can, but if the official release decides we're going to dick over our fans,
you could always just wait and get the DVD.
I never buy them on DVD. I always watch them on TV or like on Nick if I don't watch them on TV. All I'm saying is if Nick didn't want us to watch it by other means, they should have had all the episodes up there. There is no excuse to just have random episodes missing. But if they only have, like, say, the first 4 episodes and the other ones weren't up there, fair enough. They haven't put them up yet. But they had them up to the 8th episode, and there was just a couple random episodes in the middle missing. I'm like, really?
Yeah. I was just saying that, at least that's what I always do. If I can't watch it, I just wait. And I'll either watch it when eventually it comes to either Amazon Prime or Netflix, or when I can rent or buy the DVD. And I was giving Jim props for that too.
No, Jim just didn't want to log on to Nick. I would assume all the episodes are up there now, and I know for a fact, I'm pretty sure episode 5 is up on Nick. I think that was one of the ones I watched on Nick.
But anyway, all I was saying was support the official release, but over to Jim.
Which I did.
On YouTube.
No, I watched it on Nick. I watched most of it on Nick. I mean, honestly, if the people who actually released it can't support the official release, how can they expect us to? If they put the official release out there where it's supposed to be, then yeah.
It's supposed to be either A, later on when they do it through their contracts they've done, on other services that you said, well, I'm not going to get that, or later on when you're like, well, I'm not going to buy that. That's no different than downloading a game.
Except that they also, as I said multiple times, put it on Nick.com. They put it on their official site.
They also put games officially on PlayStation Plus. And then they take them down after a certain point, but I still wouldn't say after they've come off PlayStation Plus you should legally download them.
No, after a certain point, fair enough. But again, my point was that they had most of the episodes up there. Like I said, there were some random ones in the middle that for whatever reason weren't up there. It's not like they took them down after a certain point because they had episodes after it up. So that was not the case. And I was like, well, if they can't be bothered putting up the episodes to fill in the gaps to give you the complete season, I'm like, I'm just going to fill it in for myself because it's not like I'm getting the entire season or the entire, well, what they have of the season at that point off of YouTube or anything. I'm just doing 1 or 2 episodes to fill in the gaps. And most of the episodes were up on Nick.com, which I watched, and I logged on, again, using my DirecTV account because that was a valid account for Nick, and I watched it.
And I know you said you've done part of it, but again, you still did it with ones that weren't on there, which again, even if you're saying that, they're still on like iTunes to go and just purchase those episodes for like $2.
I fucking hate iTunes. I refuse to use it.
Okay, then you have no excuse, but over to Jim. I assume Jim's still here.
Yep, just waiting for this whole thing to stop. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, episodes 1 through 5, and I will mention, Marcus, just to clarify, what I was saying earlier was that, yes, now the episode's linked to Nick.com because they don't have the contract anymore. Back when Hulu had the contract, the episodes did not link to Nick.com. They were actually on Hulu, is what I was saying.
Which is fair enough. I was just correcting you were saying that it was no longer on Hulu. I was saying, no, it's still there. It just redirects to Nick.
Yeah, but the episodes themselves are not being hosted by Hulu, is what I meant. No. They're being just linked through it. Yeah. And so basically, because up until the end of Super Mega Force, Hulu had the contract, and all the new episodes were put up there. And the same as Nick.com, and you could watch them on there, and you didn't need to verify anything. And it was just, you could watch them, and that was fine. But then Hulu, I guess, didn't offer to pay enough or whatever for the contract this year for Dino Charge, so they don't have them. And yeah, hopefully you're right, Mole, about the Netflix thing. But if not, I'll watch what I can on Nick.com, and then I'll make up the rest later.
Yeah, they'll be on Netflix at a certain point anyway.
Yeah, hopefully. Because I have been keeping an eye on that, and there's no Dino Charge on there yet. But yeah, maybe they're waiting for a first however many episodes to be done first.
They're probably going to wait till the end of the season, and then they're going to put the whole season up, because that's kind of how Netflix does it, at least from what I've seen with Power Rangers.
Except for the part where I mentioned they didn't for Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, or Super Megaforce.
Yeah, I thought they put them up by season. Okay.
No, they stopped halfway through, and at the halfway point, when it goes on a hiatus for a little bit, they put up, after like that, they put up the first 13 to 16 episodes, then the second half, and then of course the films they put up separately to the actual series, which is stupid.
Fair enough.
Right, which is fair enough. The only problem being that they stopped the hiatus very early this year after episode 8, so they might have decided to hold off on it this year.
Yep, which is possible.
Yes, but anyway, back to the topic at hand here. Episodes 1 through 5 of Power Rangers Dino Charge. Of course, this is the new season from Saban Brands, executive produced by Judd Chip Lin, former producer on the show back during the days of Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, Time Force, etc. And now he's now the guy in charge now. Also, he also wrote episodes 1 through 4, by the way. Just in case you didn't know.
He's written all of them, hasn't he?
No, he has not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're right. He had a hand in, 5 and 6, there were 2 other people that wrote it with him, but he has had a hand in the writing of each of the episodes, yes. But there were some other people he's worked with on some of them.
Yeah, well, he's been hands-on with all of them.
Yep. Okay. So we're just going to go episode by episode. We're going to talk about our thoughts about each individual episode, the positives, the negatives. We'll debate a little bit, and then after we've done all 5 episodes, we'll go back and talk about our thoughts about the series overall based on the first 5 episodes, things that applied through all the episodes that we want to discuss, and we'll hold off on those until that point. All right. So we're just going to open this up with the first episode, and that is Powers from the Past, directed by Jonathan Bro. Again, written by Chip Lin. Aired February 7th, 2015. With the help of a being named the Keeper, the Power Rangers seek to protect the powerful Energems that give them their unique abilities. Keeper came to Earth 65 million years ago to protect the Energems from the evil bounty hunter Sledge, who sought to hunt them down, but Keeper tricked Sledge and blew up his spaceship and sent him hurling into space with no engines. And unfortunately, when Sledge's ship exploded, a bunch of meteors hit the Earth, which caused the extinction of the dinosaurs, apparently. And if you're following Power Rangers logic here, that means some of those meteors were the Dino Gems from Dino Thunder, but that's neither here nor there.
Which also, it's worth noting, we don't know his name is Keeper until the next episode.
No, Sledge calls him Keeper. He yells at him a few times, Keeper!
Yeah, but he's also the Keeper of the Energems. That's why when he says, my name is Keeper in episode 2, I'm like, really? The Keeper of the Energems is called Keeper? How fucking original.
Fair enough. Hey, nobody ever said Power Rangers was that original. I like Power Rangers, but let's face it, Power Rangers has been known for using really obvious names.
Yeah, but I would point out a name, even as you might argue not that original, names like Mesogog or Lord Zed or Zordon, way more original than Keeper. They normally at least name it something other than Keeper. It'd be like if Zordon was just called Head.
What does everybody want?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was too easy. Anyway, so fair enough. But as the episode opens, we see Keeper manage to evade Sledge, blow up, damage his ship with a bomb, and knock him away from Earth. But the extinction of the dinosaurs occurs, and Keeper gives the Energems to a series of dinosaurs to protect them as this extinction goes on. And we then cut to the present, where we see a young woman, Shelby Watkins, working at the dinosaur museum.
Which I will say from the beginning, because like we said, like I said, I took my notes when I'd been watching it.
Okay.
It opened with the ship chase before we saw Keeper and stuff, and that was really laughable, shitty CGI. Then we went on to the theme song, which sounds like a really bad 80s cartoon that doesn't have a memorable theme song. And then we meet the ET/female gremlin mentor of him fighting really bad CGI dinosaurs. Also known as the Do You Think They Can Afford Us?
See, I like the theme song. I think it's one of the better theme songs we've had, and I think it's catchy. It's got a catchy tune, and it's more original, I have to say, than like Samurai and Megaforce.
I will agree. It's more original than Megaforce and Samurai. However, I will disagree with it's more memorable or catchy. Because it's sort of like if you watch Transformers, the ones where they've remixed Transformers, robots in disguise, you're like, okay, you remember it. You don't complain about it. You just go, okay, they've remixed it. That's cool. With this one, the only part of the song I can remember is the part where they sing Go Go Power Rangers, and it's not in the proper song, and it just sounds awkward as fuck.
Yeah, I think it worked as kind of a remix. I think the problem was the last 4 seasons, having that little remix of, let's change up to the original theme song, that was fine. Except they did it 4 years in a row, and I think everybody got tired of it. And that was kind of the problem, is they were trying to be a little more unique with the theme while still retaining that iconic Go-Go Power Rangers, but being a little more unique with it and not rehashing the same thing for a 5th year in a row because everybody was getting tired of it.
And I think they never should have remixed. I think they never should have remixed the Power Rangers theme song. I agree with what they've done this year, where they included the riff, the Go Go Power Rangers, and they did it in a very, musically speaking, in a very clever way because it actually fits the song. And this song, the reason why I like it so much, aside from it does have, at first I wasn't sure if I liked the catchy riff of it, the Power Rangers, Power Rangers. I didn't know if I liked that, but I was like, that kind of fits. It's kind of tribal, and it's kind of catchy to get you into the song. But the thing I love about this song is it's a song, as opposed to Samurai, Super Samurai, Megaforce, and I think Super Megaforce. I think they basically had the same theme songs. They're all rehashes of the original Go Go Power Rangers theme song, and I'm like, no, they should have their own theme songs. Saban, have you forgotten what you did with every other season of Power Rangers that you've ever done past the first 3 seasons of Power Rangers? You've given them new songs.
Technically, the first 5. 3 seasons of MMPR. And then there was parts of it in Turbo, but there was definitely Alien Rangers and
Zeo.
Yeah,
Alien Rangers, fair enough. Yeah, Zeo was when they started to move away from it. They still kept it, but that's when they started it, and that was kind of more of a remix. But I still think Zeo was more original and more unique than Samurai and Megaforce. I'm sorry, but this song for Dino Charge felt like a real song. But it didn't feel out of place as a Power Rangers theme song. I was like, okay, this sounds to be like a real song. It's really well written musically and somewhat lyrically. And I was like, okay, I buy this as a Power Rangers theme song. And they have the Power Rangers riff in there, which ties everything in. I'm like, I think this song was really well done, and I really like this song.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, to me, it was just bland in the most generic way possible. Compared to the other Power Ranger songs, they sound like theme songs. This sounds like something I would find on a Justin Bieber CD. I'm like, no.
Kind of. You're right. It does kind of have that poppy sound to it, that boy band sound, which is fair enough.
And I was like, no, I don't like the theme song. I would have rather they'd done what a load of shows do nowadays, which is getting a load of the Power Ranger audience of stuff like Arrow and Flash and stuff like that have a big following with kids as well as adults, where they don't even have a theme song. They just have like a 2-second intro, like an intro of like a speech of like, oh, my name's Oliver Queen. He introduced himself, and it's just a quick flash, and that's it. And then it's just all story. I would have rather had that than this.
True. I don't know how well that would have gone over with Power Rangers, just because the theme song is one of the hallmarks and staples and signatures of Power Rangers. It's not like, like you compared it to, say, like Arrow and Flash and stuff. It's not like that, where you're coming in with a new property, a new series, and you have the freedom to do that. You're coming in with Power Rangers with years of tradition, and basically, like I said, it's a signature and a hallmark, the theme song is. So it's kind of like if you take the theme song out of it, it kind of makes it not Power Rangers to a degree. It'd be like taking the symbiote and taking it off Eddie Brock and putting it on someone else. It's like Eddie Brock is the signature of Venom. He is Venom.
That's changing a character, and what makes the character the character. What makes Power Rangers is all of the elements. Removing one slight element would be like, I don't know, it would be like having Batman and then suddenly I don't know, inexplicably not having Bane break his back. See Batman the Animated Series.
Yes and no. Bane breaking Batman's back was a signature of Bane. I don't think it was a signature. I would not say it's a signature of the Batman series.
No, but it's a signature. It's a signature of the Batman story, and it's a really important one. And they've taken, with adaptations like Batman the Animated Series, they took a lot of stuff that is important, and they just changed it, which is fair enough. It's a great series. Batman the Animated Series works as a series. And it's like Power Rangers. Like Jim said, the fans have been complaining about the theme song for 4 years, which means if they've been complaining about the theme song for 4 years, clearly it's not that big a staple.
But I don't think they were complaining that there was a theme song. I think they were complaining that they kept using the same theme song. I think what they wanted was a new theme song, and they got it. And a lot of fans, from what I could tell, seemed to really respond positively to this theme song when it was released.
And they wanted a new theme song, and they got one the same way people eventually got New Coke.
Yeah, Jim, what do you think of the theme song?
Well, regardless, I like the theme song, and it did go over well when it first came out, just by virtue of being something different than what we had during the Super Samurai, Megaforce, which they changed it up a little bit for Megaforce, and that was, people were good with that, and they liked that, but they liked it even more that it was just moving away and being more unique of a theme song. And also, I know one thing people liked about the theme song with this one was the removal of the whole Jaden, Kevin, Mike,
that too.
crap.
Yeah, that too.
Well, I can understand why that's cool, because that gets the kids involved, because they can shout the names out with them, and they learn the names of the characters. So I can understand why that'd be cool for the target audience. I just understand.
Absolutely.
I just understand why fans of our age might be annoyed by that, too.
See, I'll admit, in the previous seasons, with the roll call name stuff, I didn't hate it. I actually liked it. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, and it feels very modern. Because if you look at a load of kid shows today, and this is like the one that seems to be doing better than Power Rangers on the neck of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they do it. And it's like, kids like that stuff, and it gets the kids to know who they are. It gets us to also know who the fuck they are. Like, I don't know any of these characters' names, besides Keeper and Miss Morgan.
Yeah,
one for the wrong reason, one for the right reason.
Yeah, see, I think if they'd have kept the roll call with this song, I think it would have worked fine. I thought the roll call was kind of cheesy, but I thought it kind of worked. And as you guys pointed out, I can understand, for that target audience why they would do that, and I don't have a problem with that. Me personally, I prefer without the roll call. But that's because I'm old school. Because, I grew up in an era where you had the theme song was the theme song, no words really, unless it was like maybe some footage taken out of the actual cartoon and you have some of the characters saying stuff. Fair enough, but it wasn't anything really.
You were born before the 70s?
Funny.
Well, I'm sorry, the 70s. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
That's
Meet
the song.
the Flintstones. Yeah, but they're actual words. And they sometimes have stuff like in Scooby-Doo, like, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Constantly throughout it, which was recorded
like I said, which is fair enough, but it wasn't like a roll call type thing. It was just more, you could sit there and listen to the music, and it to me, the roll call felt more intrusive than like Scooby-Doo, where are you? Because back then, they actually crafted that in as part of the song, because you'll notice the song kind of stops and he does it, and it doesn't, to me, doesn't really sound cheesy. But anyway, I grew up in the era of more just straight up theme songs, because I grew up in the 80s, which they kind of moved away from having really any spoken word in the theme song. I think there might have been a show here and there where they had that, or like I said, like for instance, like say Captain Planet, where they actually took some stuff out of the show where they had some of like the villains' catchphrases or something.
Michelangelo is a party dude. Cowabunga!
That was crafted as part of the lyrics though. But it was more, you got the song, and the song was awesome. You didn't have the roll call. You didn't need the roll call, or they worked, like I said, with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they worked it in as part of the song. To me, with like say Samurai and like Megaforce, they didn't actually work it in as part of the song. They overlaid it on top of it, and that it felt clunky compared to Ninja Turtles, which they built it in as part of the songs. It was actually part of the song's lyrics, the roll call.
Which, like I said, I like the roll call, but another reason might be because I've been watching Power Rangers since the beginning, and one of the big things they launched over here with that when it launched, and it got to #1 in the charts, was the theme song sold on CD that kids listened to endlessly. I know I did. And when it launched, it was Go Go Power Rangers, and during it, they were going like Mastodon, Pterodactyl, Triceratops, and they were doing all of the voices like I hate the Power Rangers. Because I remember that because it ended at the end. Because at the end of the video, it went boop, 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 and Alpha was like, aye, Zordon, what's that in the viewing globe? And Zordon's like, that is the future you are seeing, Alpha. That is the White Ranger.
Yeah, I think that was the remix. I remember that song.
That was the remix, but it made it into the charts and stuff, and it was just awesome at the time. As a kid watching Power Rangers and stuff, that was fucking awesome.
Fair enough.
Still own that CD somewhere. Like the second song on it is Go Green Ranger Go, the Rita version, awesome. Not the Lord Zed one. Because I'm not sure if you know. I'm not sure if you ever noticed that with the differences.
No, I didn't know there was a Lord Zed version.
Yeah, in season 2, whenever we watch that on Netflix and stuff, when they do it, when Zed's the main enemy, instead of Rita, they actually say Lord Zed. Don't let Lord Zed. And it's like, okay.
How does that make sense? Lord Zed was after the Green Ranger's time.
No, he wasn't. He was during, because Lord Zed appeared during season 2. Green Ranger was still around during Lord Zed's time, and then because he was still Green Ranger until right when Jason and stuff left, which they left after their Zords were destroyed by, well, Lord Zed's stuff.
True.
Because I definitely know he was there for Lord Zed, because that was the best opening ever, with Green Ranger fucking running along with all those fucking explosions. It was going, and it was like a fucking rock version of my Mighty Morphin song. It was like, oh my god, that looks cool.
I do remember that intro. But yeah, the CG, I didn't have a problem with it, but I could understand your point of view of it wasn't that good. There is one running thing I didn't like, and I know you didn't like, and I didn't know if we wanted to mention it here or wait for the overall, talking about Keeper.
It's up to you guys. If it's natural to the conversation, feel free. I'm not that strict.
I mean, the fact his mouth moves less than people who have had facial accidents.
Yes, that... there is no excuse for that level of laziness in animation. It's like, you couldn't make your mentor character's mouth move when he speaks. Really, Saban?
Yeah, unfortunately, the keeper costume overall is generally not very well crafted.
Yeah, like I said, it looks like E.T. had sex with the female gremlin.
A little bit. Although one thing I will say about Keeper, I do like his red robe. That is kind of cool.
Yeah, if they were gonna do that and have a costume with a mouth that didn't move, they shouldn't have made it a costume. They should have just CG'd him. Because I'm sorry, even if the CG looks worse than the costume, at least the mouth would have moved. And that makes it infinitely better than the costume.
That would have made it worse for me, or about the same, because I'd just be like, whenever time I saw it, because it's like, that looks horrible. That's why
unfortunately, it's one of those things where with the Inhuman characters where it's either going to look really bad. It's going to look really bad no matter what you're doing. You kind of have to pick one of the two bad methods. It's all you can do, because unfortunately, they're not Disney. They don't have the Imagineering ability to craft a Doggy Kruger head, unfortunately.
And they don't have the budget either, probably.
That too.
Yeah, but I'd make the case that if we're going to do that, Gosei works better because he wasn't meant to have a moving mouth. Therefore, it works. They should have they could have easily done what they did with Lord Zed and just put something on his face.
That's true.
He could have been he could have had like a mouth guard or something.
I reckon what they should have done. I reckon what they should have done with the way they were going with Keeper, with the look they have for him, they should have made him a Jawa. They should have just pulled the hood up, give him glowing eyes, don't ever show his face.
That would have worked. Although, I will say with his robe, I much preferred it on Andros. I preferred Andros' robe.
Andros' robe was fucking awesome.
Andros' robe was cool, yes. Agreed. That is a better robe. Well, fair enough, yeah.
Yes.
So,
when we move on to the guy whose accent we were debating a while back.
yeah, we'll get in a minute here. So basically, we get to the Dino Museum, where we see young Shelby. Shelby, who works in the cafe of the Dino Museum, and we see her generally being not the best at her job, and wanting to be more than that, demonstrating her tremendous love of dinosaurs and trying to convince two of her co-workers by the names of Chase, who is actually the Black Ranger, which we'll find out, and Riley, or no, not Riley, the other one, Coda, who is the Blue Ranger, which she'll find out later, to try to convince them to let her come on an archaeological date because she knows everything about dinosaurs. And them basically shutting her down, although Chase does conveniently try to get in her pants.
Yep, which, yeah, like I said, when she's like, did that line work on New Zealand girls? Okay, kind of funny they kind of explained it, but the guy sounds like he tries to do an American accent and doesn't, and does, and doesn't at times. Sounds weird.
Yeah, he should just stick with the New Zealand accent. They obviously, because they couldn't maintain the accent, that's obviously why they made him New Zealand. That's the same reason they did that to Richard Brandon Cisco. Yeah, exactly. Xander back in Mystic Force.
Yeah, but at least with Xander, he just stayed in that one voice the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Xander was tolerable. Ironically, something I never thought I'd say. Mystic Force did everything better in this show.
Wow.
I don't think so. Their theme song sucked. I hated their theme song. And so far, at least, this show at least seems cohesive as opposed to Mystic Force, which was all over the fucking place because they removed so much and didn't bother to replace any of it or rewrite anything to bring it all together. It was a fucking hot mess.
Which, I'm not judging it based on Sentai stuff, but I'm judging it as Power Rangers, and yeah, I'd say Mystic Force did a lot of stuff better. Like, even the theme song, Here Comes the Power Rangers, Here Comes the Power Rangers. See, that's awesome.
But I am judging it based on Power Rangers because I watched it first, parts of it first as Power Rangers, and I was like, I can't follow any of what's going on. It seems like it's really disjointed. I don't get this.
Yeah, but
this is a complete hot mess. And then I went and saw the Sentai, and that explained to me why it felt like a hot mess, because they ripped the Sentai apart and didn't bother to reconstruct it as a cohesive whole. They just took the parts they were going to use and slapped it together. And I'm like, this is fucking lazy. This is stupid. You guys aren't making this a cohesive whole.
Yeah, but the reason I said I'm not judging it based on the Sentai, you said they removed stuff, which technically, if it was never there in the first place in Power Rangers, they haven't removed it.
But what I'm saying is they took the pieces of the story they wanted to use, and I understand why they didn't want to use a lot of the story because it centered around family and whatnot, because in the Sentai they were siblings. Fair enough, but they didn't rework the parts they took out or replace the parts they took out to make what they kept a cohesive whole. They just fucking slapped it together and hoped it made sense, and it made like almost no sense. I was like watching it, I'm like, okay, some of what you guys are doing aren't making sense. Like, they had a couple of multi-parters, which is fair enough. That, okay, yeah, those go together, those are multi-parters, and I think they even had a multi-part that they came up with on their own, the whole Dark Witch thing, which was fucking awesome. However, on the whole, if that season just felt really disjointed, and I could never figure out why until I saw the Sentai, and I was like, oh, well, that explains why it's disjointed. It's because they didn't bother to make what they kept cohesive. I don't have any problem with them taking things out of Sentai. They and Saban have done that before on previous and Power Rangers and since. Fair enough. But at least with the Power Rangers previous and since, and I'll even give Operation Overdrive credit for this, they took what they kept and they made it a cohesive whole by either creating new stuff around it or putting in things within the episodes to explain certain things to keep it cohesive, as opposed to, well, we're not going to show this episode and we're not going to explain why this is relevant or why, this is happening this way. We're just going to fucking do it. I'm like, really? No, no. I fucking hated Mystic Force because of that. It had such a great concept behind it. I loved the characters. I loved the team. Did not like the theme song, but I liked the team. I like the villains. I liked everything about Mystic Force except the writing, because they did not make it a cohesive whole. And Dino Charge at least feels like a cohesive story, and that's because, at least to me, it feels like they took the story and rewrote it from the ground up, basically. Which is the classic way of doing Power Rangers. It's how Saban brands used to do Power Rangers back in the day, where they would take the footage and craft a new story to use the footage and make the footage feel like it fit their original crafted story. That feels like what they're doing with Dino Charge, and that's fucking amazing. They did not do that with Mystic Force. Disney tried to do that with Mystic Force and failed miserably.
Which, it's funny you mentioned cohesive whole, but more on that when we get to the through the episodes. But yeah, this is just Mystic Force compared to this one. It at least felt more like when you watched it, you knew what the hell you were getting. With this one, you watch it, and it's either really, it was parts of it good, and then it just goes fucking terrible. It goes into unwatchable dribble, but that might just be because I'm used to better shows. But
fair enough. Moving along. So as we said, Shelby tries to get onto the to get some of her coworkers to take her on the excavation they're going on for some new dinosaur fossils they've located. And they basically tell her no, she's not experienced enough, doesn't know what to do, so on and so forth. And that she needs to stay and keep serving the Bronto burgers, or whatever they're calling them, over at the Dino Cafe. Dino Bite Cafe, sorry. By the way, one positive thing I can mention here real quick in the first episode is that they, right out the bat, they named the locale. It's Amber Beach. They're at the Amber Beach Dinosaur Museum. And I'll give them props for actually naming the city locale, as opposed to the last few seasons when, we had no idea where the hell this was supposed to be taking place until, the only time we got even a hint was that one part during Samurai where we saw Mia's driver's license. And we at least got Harwood County out of Megaforce, but even that was hard to get. At least they came right out with Dino Charge and said, hey, we're on Amber Beach. That's where we are. It's like, okay, cool.
They did. Awesome. They may have gone overboard with some of the location stuff because, yeah, like I said, when I mentioned subtlety, they plastered dinosaurs on every single part of this show. And they're going to say, well, it's dinosaur themed. So was Dino Thunder. They still went to school and did normal stuff. This one, everything revolves around just a dinosaur-themed thing. Same thing with MMPR, school, hangout location, and stuff like that. It wasn't all just about dinosaur stuff, and it's like, this one, it's beating you over the head. Did you get it's about dinosaurs yet? And it's like, oh, fuck off.
Which is true. I think because they were going for these Rangers being slightly older and perhaps being just out of high school. Perhaps, they
could have worked together in like a mall or something with various different shops. It didn't have to all be in a dinosaur-themed location.
No, it didn't have to be, but given the opportunity, dinosaur museums are cool places, and speaking to the target audience, kids love dinosaurs. The fact that it's in a dinosaur museum, that will encourage kids to go to a dinosaur museum to see educational stuff. So that's a positive. But anyway, moving along.
I really doubt kids watch Power Rangers to get any sort of educational thing unless it's how to mistreat women.
Ouch. Fair enough. Moving along.
I don't think kids of that target audience would realize that. The girls just would be like, okay, they don't have stuff for us, we leave. I don't think, and then the boys I don't think would know any different at that age of the business side of it, of what you're referring. So, yeah.
But I also know from experience, as like I've mentioned, the fact I've seen a little boy and a girl where the boys even said to her, no, you can't play with us, these are for boys.
Okay, I don't know where they got that from, but fair enough.
The fact there was no keys for her.
That's kind of a leap in logic, but okay, fair enough. I guess kids will make that leap in logic.
Yeah, and it's literally, they're like, yeah, this is a boys' show and stuff, and this is the same girl who, ironically, when we mentioned Mystic Force, her favourite was the pink Mystic Force Ranger, and she even had a toy of it and used to carry it everywhere.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. So anyway, Shelby is told she can't go on the excavation, but she sneaks onto the truck and goes anyway. At the same time, we meet Tyler Navarro, our Red Ranger, who is driving his really cool red Jeep that I like a lot.
That was one of my 2 positives for this. My 2 positives for this episode were Miss Morgan is awesome and cool red Jeep.
Fair enough.
In that order.
In that order. All right. So Tyler proceeds to we see Tyler driving his Jeep as he is attempting to locate. We see him going to a cave and following some clues as he attempts to. We initially saw him stop by the museum and ask as to the location of the specific caves he was looking for, and now we see him going there as he is searching the caves for something, and we hear through his monologue he's looking for clues to locate his missing father. And it just conveniently so happens that those caves are not too far from the dig site where the others are heading, because plot convenience.
Yeah, which, like I said, he's a worse version of Ryan Steele or Cole. And I never thought I'd have to say worse version of Cole.
I don't think he's worse than Cole, and I can't comment about Ryan Steele because I've never actually seen the show. So,
which I will also point out, which isn't actually technically about this, it's just for this. I just thought Jim would get a kick out of this. The other day, Jim, like, when was it? 2 days ago? Or no, it might have been yesterday, Saturday. I was in town, Jim.
Okay.
I was walking past a charity shop. I almost bought them, but I didn't. In the charity shop, you know where people donate stuff and then they sell them? I don't know what you call them over there, but like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Fair enough. In the window, they had every single still on their card VR Troopers.
Wow.
I was like, holy fuck! And
why did you buy them?
Because I was like, no, I've got more important things to use my money for right now.
That's true. That is true.
But when I saw them, I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Fair enough.
They also had one of those Episode 1 Obi-Wans still in its box where you could scan it on that chip device. I was like, oh my god, I own a couple of them.
Nice.
I think I have a Series 00 of him. I have Series 00 of most of the Episode 1 stuff.
Nice.
Why? That's the worst movie.
Because Series 00, because A, it's Star Wars, so you know it's going to be worth money. B, it's Series 00, so it's going to be worth even more money, because that means it's first off the rack. Yeah, Richter and I kind of went shopping when Episode 1 hit the theaters. He was like, dude, we got to go get some toys. I'm like, okay.
Also, I believe what you meant to say, Jim, was that's the worst episode number film. Because either A, there's other worse films, and if you just go about Star Wars, we have the Ewok films.
This is true. Okay, the worst numbered film. Sorry.
Yeah, and I would say 6 was as bad.
Okay.
Actually, funny story. Richter and I he convinced me to go out to Toys R Us when Episode 1 came out, when the toys came out, because he was like, dude, we got to get there like when the toys first come out because we can get 00 series. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And he told me, that it's basically means it's the first series off the line. He's like, dude, those things are going to be worth money, and it's Star Wars, so it's going to be worth money. So we actually went to Toys R Us and basically just started going down the line and picked one of like each toy. I mean, and then looked on the card to make sure it was 00 series. So I have like basically an entire collection almost of just the figures, and so does Richter.
Nice.
Fair enough. Moving along. So as we get up to the dig site, we see we see that there is. We initially saw there was a monster known as Fury. The lieutenant to Sledge, who we discovered that Sledge has managed to get himself back to the area later. But Fury was left behind when Sledge's ship got blasted out into deep space, and Fury's been trying to find the Energems ever since, over 65 million years. And we see him kind of sneaking around and whatnot. And then we also see a monster, an ice-themed monster, who shows up at the dig site and begins attacking Shelby after she opens a box that was found on the truck of something they found at the dig that turns out to contain the pink Energem.
I believe the monster's name is Ice Age.
Ice Age, thank you. So the Ice Age shows up at detecting the energy from the Energem, and basically she has the Energem and she starts getting attacked by Ice Age. At the same time, Tyler has been exploring this cave and has been passed by but what seems rather likely to be Fury, and locates the red Energem located near a T-Rex skeleton inside the cave. And he proceeds to meet up with Shelby, and they proceed to fight the Ice Age monster. And I know Mole had a negative, which is true, all of which is going on while the dig people are like 15 feet away and don't hear or see any of this.
That wasn't my only complaint with this scene.
Okay.
Worst acting ever in Power Rangers with, huh? Is that a tooth? He's stealing it! Nice shooting, Tax. Completely bored shitless. Followed by, I just started spinning the thing! Then bad CGI Zord throwing the enemy. And the part that you were referring to is when she goes, there goes my ride! It was, and she drives away, and then you realise how close that ride was. And you're like, wait, you didn't hear the explosions? The giant fucking badly designed CGI shitty T-Rex throwing a monster or the monster or any of this shit? Really? Okay then.
Yeah,
Talk about that coherentness Marcus was on about.
I mean, they
I
tried
would
to
have
cover.
to say worst Power Rangers ever, because if they're supposed to be established Power Rangers at a point, you'd think they'd come running and morph.
Which, like I said, Marcus, yay for your coherentness you mentioned.
Yeah.
Although I meant story-wise. I meant at least
this is story-wise.
No, I meant like from episode to episode. At least it kind of makes sense, and it doesn't feel disjointed. Despite the gap in logic, it did not feel disjointed.
In all fairness, they did at least try to cover it up, because as they're driving away on the truck, you see that Chase and Coda are wearing headphones and blaring really loud music in their ears, like that's supposed to cover it up.
They may be, but aren't they supposed to have in their secret base and on them and stuff like that some sort of thing to detect monsters and detect energems and stuff?
All right. Well, here's an argument for and against. Number one, it was established before they left. This is, I know, thin, but it was established before they left the cafe that Chase and Coda aren't the most observant people in the world. Like, they're about as observant as Jim.
I would make the case.
However,
that's not the case when they're Rangers.
Yeah, but they're not morphed. Jim said they have their headphones and stuff. They're not going to be that observant. However,
I mean, whenever it comes to Ranger-related stuff.
Yeah, but this might not have technically been the Ranger. They might have just been out looking for something. They wouldn't have necessarily been observant looking for, theory. However, the argument against that of, yeah, they should have noticed, they didn't come alone. Kendall Morgan was with them. She should have seen and heard everything. Because Morgan was there. How did she not notice the giant red fucking T-Rex?
Yeah, there's a little bit of what they probably hold in suspension of disbelief. You can't suspend that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and even if you can explain it with the flimsy excuse Marcus gave at the headset, I would also say they have eyes, massive explosions, and a T-Rex.
Yeah,
but if their back is to it, then they can't hear it, and they're not the most observant people. They're not going to notice it. Again, like I said, it's thin, it's flimsy, but it's an explanation that was provided by the episode. There is no explanation for Kendall Morgan not noticing a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Now, positive I will give, which is one thing I know Database Ranger and I believe Marissa Love, they couldn't stop giggling over it because they were like, that's fucking awesome, and I have to agree. The fact that when Tyler first shows up to save Shelby or fight alongside Shelby, he starts deflecting laser blasts with a fucking trowel. I'm like, that's awesome.
See, I found that stupid.
I thought that was amazing. I was like, cool.
I found it stupid how much he managed to deflect. If it'd just been one and then it'd been destroyed, fair enough, but he deflected multiple. I'm like, okay, so in the next thing, when they're Rangers now and we're supposed to believe these enemies are a threat, they're not because you can defeat them with a fucking garden shovel. Way to completely ruin all your monsters.
Technically, that's a camping spelunking shovel, but yeah, same difference.
Yeah, it's not exactly made out of adamantium, but
no.
But yeah, also the other reason I say the flimsy headset one it doesn't also work is because when they tried to get up as the T-Rex ran past, they fell over with the earthquakes.
That too.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fucking shit. Worst thing. Like I said, I've started to accept and like the series as I got onto near the end, but only if I watch this as a parody. If I watch this as a serious Power Ranger show, like the normal Power Ranger ones, I'm just like no.
which is fine. So just to sum this up, basically Shelby and Tyler meet each other. Their energems give them the power to become Power Rangers and freeze them from ice after they're frozen. And they inexplicably morph by randomly spinning the thing on the gun. And then they become Rangers, and then the giant T-Rex is summoned, and it tosses the monster away. And then we see the two of them driving back to the museum in Tyler's Jeep, as Tyler basically gives an exposition about his backstory, about how his father was an archaeologist who disappeared 10 years ago. He's been trying to find him. He's got this old journal that belonged to his dad that he's using to try to find everything. And they're kind of basically examining, and they recognize that the monster in the journal was Fury. And we kind of establish that whole spiel. Episode ends. Episode 2. Episode 2 is entitled Past, Present, and Fusion. Aired February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2015. Same director, same writer. And in this one,
Or this week over here, because not racist.
Fair enough. And effectively, we learn more about the other three Rangers in this one. Riley, the Green Ranger, Chase, the Black Ranger, and Coda, the Blue Ranger. Where we find out they morph to help Tyler and Shelby battle the ice monster again. Tyler summons
No, green's not green. First of all, the enemy tries to kill a dog with a sword in the most cliched way possible of, oh, look, he's a villain, you get it? And during that, the Green Ranger gets his energem from the cave when he hits his energem into like a rock, and then it activates and gives him that cool sword, because apparently energems now do different things because they can't keep track of what they do. Then he becomes the Green Ranger.
Okay, then.
I was just pointing out, just saying, because the Green Ranger, the Blonde, and all them all joined together. I'm like, no, episode 2 is we actually see him become the Green Ranger. It's kind of important.
Yeah, he was on his farm. It establishes his brother and his dog and his swordsmanship and stuff. And Fairy, for whatever reason, ends up being by the farm, attacks his dog. He defends him with his weapon, which becomes the Raptor Saber somehow.
Yeah, and before we even get to the Black and Blue helping him out, we also have them tossing a car into the air.
Yeah, as the Rangers are driving around, they see that a car has crashed and someone's trapped under it, and through their energem strength, they're able to toss it into the air.
Shelby and Tyler. It's like, wait, but okay.
Shelby, Tyler, and Riley. They picked Riley up. He's with them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Riley was trying to get to the dinosaur museum, and bike broke down or something, and they're like, "Oh, you can ride with us. We're going there."
Yeah, I was an episode. I thought the Riley stuff was the next episode. I got myself mixed up. My bad.
Yeah, that was really stupid of tossing the car, because more inconsistencies, because now their strength feels completely all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't get the strength thing either. I thought that was kind of stupid.
It would have been one thing if they just tossed it away slightly, or just knocked it off the guy and pulled him out or something.
Or just like lifted it up a little bit so the guy could get out. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that I might be able to go about. I'd be like, okay, throwing it as high as they did in the air was fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will give you that.
Indeed.
Then we have the ridiculous T-Rex head base entrance. Woo!
Yes, we found out that there's a secret base where the Rangers meet, located beneath the museum, entered through a T-Rex head that is located in the loading bay, where you pull on the tooth and it opens a little passageway that you can slide down to get inside the base.
Which I still say is a stupid entrance. That is a really stupid entrance. Because it's a T-Rex head at a museum, even in the loading bay or any other places, based on the fact where they ran to them easily, which means it's not exactly secure, anyone can walk around there and stuff like that. What's the one thing people like to do, especially in nowadays when everyone has a phone, even kids aged like 7 and shit have mobile phones? They like to take photos. They're going to take photos inside a T-Rex head.
Yep.
Yeah, except as I pointed out, again, because it's in the loading bay, kids wouldn't get to it. But, yeah, Shelby would probably, and she's the one that did do it. So yeah, but it's because she's a ranger, and you notice only rangers work there, so it's kind of secure in that, at least in terms of general public secureness and human secureness, and that really the only people back there are going to be the rangers.
Yeah, but the reason I mentioned it didn't matter about where it was located is because, A, what's going to happen when the museum closes for the night? You're going to have teenagers going around the back of buildings and stuff like they always do. And one thing teenagers do is hang off shit like statues and stuff. Boom.
True.
Also, loading bay, which means it's not just rangers there, it's people delivering stuff there, unless every single person who delivers food or anything to the museum is now suddenly a ranger. At one point or another, they're going to touch that T-Rex.
True. It is a little insecure. He is right.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome entrance. I agree it could be more secure, but I kind of like the entrance. I think it's kind of cool and it's clever.
It should have been, like I said, it should have been more secret, because it basically reminds me of Dino Thunder, which I was like, okay, that works, because you have to be in his house and then pull open that fucking T-Rex mouth open for it to work. I'm like, that totally works. That's hidden. Because I don't think he's just going to leave his house open and be like, no, everyone go in there. Make sure you touch that T-Rex statue. No.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, and I'm like...
Yeah, they should have secured the tooth. I can agree with that.
I'm like, the lack of security makes it... or it should have been like maybe a scanner, like the T-Rex eyes read for little energems.
And that's fair enough. I don't think that makes it a stupid entrance. I just think it makes it a not very secured entrance. I think the entrance itself is still fucking awesome. I thought that was clever. I was like, okay, that's cool.
I would point out how secure a secret entrance is relevant to how stupid it is.
I'll agree to disagree.
Because because it's a secret entrance, so it's completely unsecure and not that secret. Therefore, it doesn't work as a secret entrance.
Like I said, if they secured the tooth better or had a different way of actually accessing it through that, I think it'd be fine.
Oh, I agreed. If they'd had different ways of doing it, like the energems being read, it would work perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But the fact it's a completely unsecure, really not that secret base entrance, it's like, that doesn't work as a secret entrance for me.
Not really.
It couldn't be any less secret if they had a big fucking neon sign with an arrow pointing to it saying Secret Power Ranger Base.
Fair enough. So in this episode, the Rangers fight off the ice monster again, and the T-Rex battles him again. And Kendall reveals that she knows about the energems and about Keeper, who introduces himself. And the Rangers, basically Tyler and Shelby, are indoctrinated onto the team in full. As we also learn that Sledge has survived, and it took him 65 million years to haul his broke-ass ship back to Earth, and he's now pissed off and he wants his damn energems.
Which I do have positives on this part.
Okay.
I did think it was cool that basically Black and Blue started off as Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Black and Blue. Yeah, it was.
Yep,
Black and Blue started off as Rangers. I'm like, that's cool, because normally it's either the whole team and just one newbie, or it's one existing one and then newbies. The fact it's two existing ones and other ones, it's like, okay, that kind of mixes up the format. The other part was I loved it when Miss Morgan's going through and telling every single person why they were chosen, and then she goes to the Pink Ranger and goes, why the Pink Gem chose you is anyone's guess. I'm like, that's actually a genuinely funny line. Mm-hmm. It's good that there's actually one actress in the show that's good. And it's like, that's a pretty funny line.
That is a funny line.
I like the fact that Miss Morgan just seems to have never liked this character. And I'm like, that's cool. I like the fact she doesn't like her. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. It works. So as the show is, everything in the general stuff in the show has been pretty much established, including the fact that Keeper's kind of a dick. Because he was like, yeah, I'm going to show up, and I'm going to give exposition of da-da-da-da. I was like, you will not harm these energems. And then I'm just going to leave, and you guys can fight the big, bad, mean dude.
Yep, and then we also have the other inconsistency with the show, which other shows have apparently have done. Like I mentioned to you, Jim, the only one I gave a pass for this was Ninja Storm, as it was planned to be a reboot. And that is the fact when they tell her, just, what is this, like a few months after the fucking global invasion in Super Megaforce, that she's going to be a Power Ranger, she goes, Power, what? Like she's never heard of them? Really? You've never heard of the people that just, like, what, last summer stopped the fucking global invasion of your planet? Were you living under a rock?
I think that power wall was less she didn't know what it was, and her power wall was like it was more that she couldn't believe it, not that she didn't know what it was.
See, it seemed to be more that she didn't know what it was, because she goes, Power what?
Yeah.
And they're like, Power Rangers, and she's like, what's that?
Oh, okay.
And they tell her, you're going to protect the people, and then tell her about what she's going to do, and say, oh, okay. And I'm like, how could she not have heard them? She's the stupidest smart person ever. And this is coming from a series that had Justin.
Yeah, well, they've done that before, and it is always weird when they do that. How you wouldn't have heard of other Power Rangers, so
it's because
a constant inconsistency.
It's because they're sticking to TV tropes, and you always have to have the trope, for better or for worse, of the one character that doesn't know anything. Kind of like literally like the Winston of the group, basically, of the character that doesn't know anything, and it explains things to the audience. You explain things to the audience through that character. I think Shelby is that character. So it's like, oh, establish the Power Rangers and explain what Power Rangers are through her. As much as it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and you don't need that. The Winston doesn't mean that they've never heard of it. It also, if it's like an extra character added later, it would be like, for example, Dino Thunder, which is a much better series than this. Dino Thunder, they're instantly like, whoa, they're like superheroes. And they've heard of the Power Rangers, but they're still newbies, so they still have to have stuff explained to them. There's if they're a newbie, they still have stuff explained, which helps out the audience. They don't need to never have heard of what the hell a Power Ranger ever is, especially this fucking close after the global invasion.
Yeah.
Global.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Fair enough. So episode 3 is A Fool's Hour. This one was directed by Charlie Haskell.
Before you do that, another thing I think they established in the second one. The second one is when Tyler first uses the finisher, right, with the T-Rex.
Yep.
He uses that to finish off Ice Age. Fucking awesome. That finisher is cool.
Which I will say, I had 2 other notes on this one. One of which was, I'll just gloss over, if the putties of this season look weird.
Fair enough.
They look like they're in pajamas or something. But yeah, when it comes to what Marcus just said, yes, I did have a note about that. The Dino Morpher Blast Final Strike. It looks as cool as it is stupidly named.
Ah.
That looked awesome. Yeah, he jumps from the Zord out the mouth and does the cool blast. That looked cool. Its name is fucking stupid. It didn't need to be called Dino Morpher Blast Final Strike. You could have just called it the Final Strike, or Blast Strike, or Final Blast, or anything. Then Dino Morpher Blast Final Strike. No.
I do have a couple other things to say about it, though, and they're kind of at odds with each other. One is, I think this is the first ever Power Ranger finisher that actually protects the Ranger before it activates. Because Tyler literally jumps into the T-Rex's mouth, so yeah, good luck, Ground General, trying to shoot through a fucking T-Rex. That's not going to happen. Which is cool. The thing that's not so cool is I'm like, wait a minute. And I felt this way when I first saw this in Kyoryuger, which it made me scratch my head. I'm like, wait. So let me get this straight. His final attack is he calls in his Zord to help him fucking shoot the bad guy. I'm like, really? You need a Zord to kill the bad guy? Are you kidding me? Isn't that a little overkill?
That is a little overkill, although
never escalate a battle unless Rita forces you to.
Not anymore, because now for Instinct 1 is, Tyranno, come on here, I need you for my final attack because I'm too weak to do it myself. I'm like, wait, what?
I would make the case, if that rule was still in place, Jim, the Rangers can never attack anything because Rita has not done it.
True.
Boom! Technicality laws.
Technicality laws, nice.
But yeah, I will say with this one though, yeah, I will say with the thing of what you mentioned, Marcus, if it's if maybe being the first Power Ranger one, I don't think it is the first one to defend the Rangers, because I would argue Green Ranger.
Does Green Ranger have a final strike?
Whenever he did it with that, as he did it to strike the enemies, his chest shield would glow, and therefore it was protecting him.
Yeah, but my question was, as the good Green Ranger, did he have a final strike? Because I don't recall him having a final strike aside from just like a jump slash or something, as opposed to Jason, who had, he powered up the power sword and did like a fucking lightsaber slash with it.
Oh, I was on about which I believe Tommy has defeated enemies with that before. When he did it and his chest shield glue, as he did like that big like lightning strike through them, and then they'd blow up and grow.
Ah, fair enough.
Indeed. Also, for the record, glue is not a word unless you're talking about an adhesive substance. It's glowed.
Neither's energems. What's your point?
Touche. Moving on.
So yeah, I was like, oh, really? You're calling in your Zord? I don't know if anyone else found that a little stupid. I'm like, really? Kind of makes you look a little weak, Tyler, if you have to call in your Zord to be able to initiate your final strike. Either that, or it makes you seem like a dick because you're completely overkilling the opponent.
Yep. It did seem a little out of nowhere. Moving on
to episode 3.
Yes, A Fool's Hour, directed by Charlie Hoskell, also written by Chip Lynn, February 21st, 2015. So Sledge, I guess this is when Sledge came back to Earth. I thought it was last episode, but I guess it's this one. So Sledge came back to Earth here, and basically he's, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to take the Energems back, and he launches a plan where he's got a monster that can turn itself into just a robotic hand, because that's not obvious or anything. And the idea is that they do they lure Rangers into a battle that they don't intend to really win, have the Rangers quote-unquote win the battle by the monster retreating. But the monster is actually turned into a robot hand, and the plan is the hand is going to follow them back to their base in the obvious Tyrannosaurus head, and then it's going to tell Sledge and all the other monsters where the base is so they can go and blow it up and take the Energems and kill the Rangers.
Yeah, basically they tried to Green Goblin it, but not as cool.
Pretty much. What the hell worked with Green Goblin? Did Spider-Man really have a base? I mean, it was his apartment.
It was his apartment, but he did it to find out who his secret identity was, and he just follows him home one day, and that's what led to him murdering Gwen.
Ah. Clever.
Yes. Which I do have notes on this episode, obviously, because I took notes on all of them. Mine are just bullet points of what I was feeling about various stuff.
Okay.
The prison escape stuff is kind of cool. That prison escape was actually kind of cool. Boom, a positive.
Indeed.
Hitting balls with a sword. Not slicing them, just knocking them away like it's a baseball bat. What the fuck? Bluntest sword ever?
Pretty much.
Blue Ranger is now a caveman? What the fuck? He didn't seem like a caveman in the other episode. What the hell?
Well, he was just on the burger and kind of just acting and not really talking much. I guess that was supposed to be caveman.
Yeah, but in this same episode, like I think it was this one. It was either this one or one of the other ones later on at the end. He then doesn't know how to work the grill.
That's why he's not the cook. That's why he is the busboy.
Yeah, but he means he must speak to people and know how technology works and stuff. And it's like, oh, some of this just seems stupid. But yeah, the caveman stuff. Oh god. The Rangers also met Sledge for the first time, which was awesome. When they met him face to face, that was fucking awesome.
It was. He flew on his jetpack. He was like, "I am Sledge, bitch."
Yeah, I do appreciate it when they do that. When they have the Rangers meet the big bad like face to face, that's always cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appreciate the fact that we went flashback to just 5 seconds ago when he says, and then he goes, "It's a monster from the book." Because he remembers it. You could have just said it's a monster from the book. You didn't need the flashback of 5 fucking seconds ago.
Yep. So obviously the plan does not work because Tyler realizes what they're doing and manages to thwart them, despite the fact that Chase, who I guess was the de facto leader before the new ones came along, basically chastises him for running off on his own and not sticking with the team.
No. Wrong. Tyler's not that smart. You're giving him way too much credit.
Yep.
He had no fucking clue what he was doing. The reason he splintered off from most of the group is because he recognized Fury and was like, fuck you guys, I'm going to find out what happened to my dad. They're like, don't with the team. He's like, fuck off, I'm going to go find my dad. He goes and runs off while the rest of the team goes back to the base. He tails Fury, who goes back to Sledge, and Sledge basically does the Tyler thing of telling Fury to fuck off because he's got his own agenda, and Sledge tells...
And Sledge conveniently states his entire plan in detail out loud.
Yeah, which like I said, that was in my notes because, the Rangers get completely owned in that fight, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Cave Boy's like, how long does an hour? An hour? How long's that? Fuck off, Cave Boy, I don't like you. But yeah, then the lion, which I know is not really a lion, but he looks like a lion, has his plan, basically, it has the plan said to him when the Red Ranger's there. But here's the funny thing. Just 2 seconds before it, he goes to hit the Red Ranger with his sword because he sensed him. At a certain point, shouldn't that be the part in films and TV shows and stuff where they sort of go, I think someone's here? He sensed he was there.
You would think.
But they looked and there wasn't anyone there, so clearly his sense was wrong.
Well, actually, he was about to hit it with his sword, and then Sledge stopped him.
Ah.
Because his sword was out, and he's about to pull it down, and then Sledge goes, stop, and come over and tells him to come over. And he's like, okay. He doesn't tell him, I sense something over there. I think someone's here.
Fair enough. But yeah, so the Tyler overhears the plan, and he manages to thwart the plan. He stops the monster from infiltrating the base and fights it off. And then as the monster tries to get into its spaceship to get away to get back to Sledge's ship to tell him where the base is, and Tyler proceeds to ram a spaceship with his Jeep. Which was awesome.
I have that in here, of the car crash to the spaceship. I was a little disappointed.
Oh.
Only because when I saw him getting into the ship, and I saw him getting into his Jeep, I know Marcus may have thought the same thing. I was thinking he was going to die hard it.
Ah, yes!
From Die Hard 4. I thought he was going to go into the air and into the thing. I mean, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Not just a slight bump, and then his ship just goes, oh.
Yeah, you thought he was going to drive through it with the Jeep.
Yeah, like in the air, like, boom, just take him out, Die Hard style.
I thought either he was going to do that, or I thought he was going to semi-Die Hard it, launch the Jeep off the ramp, and then jump out of the Jeep, morph in midair, and land on the ship, and just rip the ship apart with his powers.
Yeah, but instead, what we get is he just bumps into it with less force than a child using a dodge jump. And it just goes, It's like, oh, come on. There's so much more you could have done with this, and dumb.
If they had the budget. I don't think they had the budget for the explosions and stuff.
You know, they didn't need him though. They could have just got him to jump off and then, like you said, like jump off and land on him and like get him out or something.
Yeah.
But
the other thing that would have been cool, since this, like, again, was all original footage, although again probably budgetary reasons. But the other thing I was kind of thinking Tyler could do is, as he's driving, he loads the gun, shoots it, and then the fucking T-Rex comes out of nowhere and just snags the ship with his mouth. It's like,
yeah. Nope. Which, I will say, since I believe Jim's phone rang, so he's putting that here. We then also get new armor mode.
Yeah, that was pretty quick for the new armor mode. What the fuck?
I know it was to give them their personal weapons, like the power weapons, whatever you want to call them, but don't call it armor mode.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, really? That's way too fast to get this.
Yeah, if it was so they could wield their new weapons, they should have called it like a power bridge or something to give them the strength to wield their signature weapon. That would have been fine.
Yep.
Because I didn't know that's what they were going for when they said armor. I'm like, wait, they're getting their armor upgrade already?
Yeah. And we also see the Tricerazord, which is more bad CGI. Then we have something cool when they combine powers.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, where he fires both shots at once. I'm like, that's kind of cool.
We need Megazord power now.
Then we need Megazord power because the enemy, because I had to make a note of this, Marcus, because it's cool because of how ridiculous this one is. The monster grows by hitting a big red fire button, really. On his ship, he has a big red button for making monsters grow. It's like, oh god, that's so stupid. It's kind of funny and awesome.
It's basically the same thing as Super Mega Force. It's the only difference is it's big and it's like red or pink because it's Poisandra's button. But it's basically the same thing that fucking What's-Her-Face does on the Gigant Horse in Go-Kaiser, the cannons.
Oh yeah, which I completely agree with, and I liked it in Super Mega Force and stuff, but they were doing it like at a console and stuff. This is big red over the top large comical button. It's like, oh god, that's kind of hilarious. Then yeah, like you said, bad Megazord.
Like I said, I'm okay with it. It's not the best, but it's not terrible in my opinion. I'm like, okay, I can deal with this being Megazord CGI, and just the CGI in general, I don't think bothered me as much as it bothered you.
Yep.
And also, and in fact, lack of CGI is what bothered me more, which I never thought I'd hear myself say with Power Rangers. But God, that Keeper just animate the fucking face. Come on.
But one of the reasons I say bad Megazord is one of its moves.
Okay.
As well as the fact it looks like ass, it has a jump thing because they all jump up as they're being attacked and go jump, and then it makes the Megazord jump, and it bounces from building to building to building and off an antennae. And when it does it, you see them shake. I'm like, great, you've just done property damage for no reason. This is like when SPD rolled behind a building shooting. I'm like, if you think about it in a real terms, this is more damage for the sake of it than anything that was in Man of Steel. Because at least with that one, he has a reason. This one, they're just jumping off stuff for no reason.
True. Yeah, that's always been problems with Sentai and Power Rangers and again, most of the Zord and Megazord footage does come from the Sentai, but it's because, they treat the city as more like an action set piece, which, like you said, if you think about it in terms of if this was really a city with a giant mecha, so much for protecting the city. You just probably killed a bunch of innocent people by allowing the enemy to pepper it with giant fucking laser shots.
Yep, and we end the episode with Cave Boy can't flip burgers.
Which is why he's the busboy and not the chef.
Yeah, you finally came back to your own show. Woo.
Sorry.
So episode 4.
Indeed. So moving on to episode 4. Episode 4 is entitled Return of the Caveman, which I really like this episode. Return of the Caveman, directed by Jonathan Bro, again, written by Chip Lin, February 28th, 2015, where we learn Koda's backstory, which I thought was kind of cool. Effectively, Chase and Koda get trapped in a cave by a monster called Slammer, and Koda's been downing himself as a caveman. Basically, we open the episode showing that he lives in a cave off of the base, and we see that he's kind of, a little uncouth when it comes to some things. Sometimes he doesn't understand technology, sometimes he breaks things, because of his caveman strength, stuff like that, and he has trouble adapting to modern society and feels that he's kind of useless in this environment.
And I stopped the episode on a positive.
All right.
The kid is scared of the CGI saber-toothed tiger, and the CGI saber-toothed tiger looks actually like kind of good CGI for this show. I'm like, wow, that saber-toothed tiger looked like the best CGI in this series.
Cool.
Indeed.
I also have a negative, Jim, which
Okay.
I hope you would appreciate as the history buff, as you always like to say in all our videos.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew cavemen spoke perfect English?
Yep, that's always a classic when they do these kind of things.
Who knew?
Who knew?
That was just a dream flashback, because I know Jim loves those after what you mentioned about Voyager.
Anyway, we'll review that series later. But anyway,
I was on about the fact that whole opening was just a dream flashback.
Yeah.
Which led to Cave Boy attacking the cycle and the phone.
Indeed. So, as they get trapped in the cave, we see that a young boy has been trapped in the cave and with them, who had run away from his parents, who were nearby.
He got trapped in the cave because Koda saved him, because Koda jumped in the way. That's why Koda got captured.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So Koda tries to save the kid, and Koda and Chase get captured.
Which you missed off the part where they got their cycles for the first time, and they find out he can't ride a bike.
Ah.
He doesn't even know what a bike is, which makes sense.
We also have the girl monster skipping off with the little monster, which was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I will say the Blue Ranger, I think it's the Blue Ranger, isn't it? Yeah, Blue Ranger. I will say I agree with him for once.
Mm-hmm.
When he says, why would the Blue Energem choose a caveman? I agree. Why is this in this episode? Why are you in this season? I completely agree. You are a fucking terrible ranger. You are now officially my worst ranger. Except for maybe RJ.
Fair enough. But we see why, because he has a good heart. And we see in a flashback Code remembering that he had a younger brother back in his caveman days, and he found the Energem, a few 100,000 years ago. And basically we find out that he had a younger brother who was a cave boy that he failed to save from a threat, and the boy fell off a cliff.
No, he fell off a cliff.
Yeah, he tried to save the boy from the saber-toothed tiger, and he ended up going off the cliff, basically sacrificing himself to save his brother.
Yeah, then we see the Blue Energem activate, and it glows, so it must have protected him.
Oh, okay.
Just keeping it accurate out there, unlike the
Power
Force.
I appreciate that. So effectively, we see him trying to save the younger brother, but he lost the younger brother because he went off the cliff, and that's presumably where he got frozen, where he found the Energem and got frozen or abandoned or whatever for several 100,000 years. That's another feature we found about the Energems, is the Energems prevent you from aging.
Which I also have to point out, inside this cave, so stupid. He helps the boy by ripping his shirt and tying it round and doing proper medical stuff. Cavemen didn't do this stuff. A caveman's answer to a headache was to bash their head in with a rock. Which just seems really weird how well he was able to do that. And like when he's helping the kid's like, no, this is a GPS. Here you go, and passes him and goes, use it. And he's like, oh, cool, and just walks off with it, looking at it. It's like, how do you know how to read a map if you don't even know what time is or what most functionality of stuff? How do you know how to use this GPS? I understand that the kid turned it on, and I'm not saying how does he know how to use a phone. I'm saying how can he read the GPS? Because logically, if he's this inept as they say, clearly he shouldn't be able to read a map. But no, completely incoherent mess.
The point is supposed to be that he's not as inept as he thinks he is, and as he was portrayed. That's the point of the episode, is to show that he's not. But he used the GPS to find his way out of the cave with the young boy after managing to get out of the cage that the monster trapped him in.
I would also say, now that I'm thinking about it, since then I've actually used a GPS, I'd have to say, yeah, Chiplin doesn't know how a GPS works, does he? Because the GPS would not show him how to get out of a cave, because the GPS doesn't start tracking until you get to a fucking road. I know this because when I've used a GPS from my work, and when I'm standing in the store, it doesn't have a line going from my counter to the fucking door to tell me this is how you get out of the store. It doesn't track until I get out of the parking lot onto an actual road.
Yeah, because your GPS is in car mode, but most GPSs these days also have walking mode for people that like to go on walking trails, and therefore the walking trail would likely have, not necessarily in this random abandoned cave, it might not have known the way out, but the GPS could have at least given a general idea of a walking path. I don't think it makes sense, but not for the reason you think it doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't think it would have, even in walking mode, I don't think it would have kicked in until he got out of the cave. I don't think it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it makes sense that it could use that for walking, but not that it would work in the cave.
Actually, it can.
Really?
If you use a GPS in walking mode, what it normally does, or what some of them tend to do, or what it seems to do at least, is, because the satellites track the roads, it points the arrow to the roads, because it doesn't know what's there. It can't tell you to go forward and turn because there's going to be a bin there, or there's going to be a bench. It just tells you to go forward on a lot of them, and tells you to turn and stuff based on where the road is and where you need to go. Some stuff it can read, but not all of it. So in a cave, it would actually work, but he shouldn't be able to read this.
Yeah. That's also not saying it would direct him to the exit of the cave. It would direct him to the nearest road, which could be through a wall in the cave. He still wouldn't be able to find the exit.
It could have, but based on the fact the exit was where it was, my guess is it just happened to be that might be the direction of the nearest road. They may have got...
Well, that's where the beach was, yeah.
Because logically, if that's where the entrance is, that's probably going to be near the nearest the road.
Maybe.
Indeed. So
yeah, this leads into my one biggest complaint with Coda, and I do like him. I like the character. I like how Yoshi Sudarso... Is it Sudarso or Sudarsu? Something like that.
Something like that. Sudarso, I think.
Yeah, Sudarso. I like how he portrays him. Kind of. At first, I was a little iffy about it with the way he's portraying him, but I'm like, okay, caveman, that kind of makes sense. My complaint is they're inconsistent. Because you have this caveman. I'm assuming they avatared him and froze him for billions of years, and then probably that Kendall fucking found him or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the Energems cause you not to age. I think that Energem just avatared his ass and put him in ice. Which, if Captain America's taught us, ice keeps you from aging.
No, I believe they did say immortality.
Yeah, they mentioned the Energems keep you from aging. Kendall specifically said that.
Fair enough. But either way, okay, so let's assume for a second he did get put on ice and he was thawed. Number one, it's never been established how long he's been thawed out if he was put on ice. If he's not, that means he's been living around among humans since fucking caveman days. I'm sorry, he should not be speaking like a caveman if he's been alive for 65 million fucking years.
Yep.
He should be like one of us.
Yeah, as I said, he's not consistent with his character. Like, for example, when he morphs, beforehand he's like, Power Ranger. Then when he morphs, he's like, Blue Power Ranger, yeah! And it's like, what the hell? Then he goes straight back to talking like a caveman. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, and if they were trying to go for the classic caveman, like, say, fresh out of being, frozen and stuff like that, then he should be far more inept than he actually is.
Yep.
However, I still do like the character.
Ironically, they probably should have done something like he got frozen by protecting Keeper or something, and then you needed all the Energems lined up to defrost them both.
That would have been interesting.
Because then we know why he's inconsistent. When we know why he doesn't know our world, but no, he knows our world enough to talk. Yeah,
if they were going to go with the caveman thing, they should have made him the last ranger. I understand why they couldn't because footage, but you guys are using a lot of original footage, even more footage. You could have done that and then just shifted into the existing footage once you got him on the team. It's like, yeah. Like I said, I like the character, but he's so inconsistent.
He is, like a lot this season. But then they summon the Megazord. We're at the Black Ranger, he's still in the cave. But they summon the Megazord.
Indeed.
And then 2 seconds into it, they just take the pink one and throw it the fuck away, because pink one, and get the Stegoraptor to join on instead.
I do like how Koda and the kid escape, because it made me laugh. Because just the whole theme of this episode was bikes, because they got their motorbikes in the beginning, and Koda was all fearful of bikes and stuff. When he runs into the kid, this kid is riding a bike, and happens to have the bike, and when the kid gets snatched up, obviously Koda jumps in the way, and Koda snatched up with the kid, but they also snatched the bike. So when they appear in the actual cage in the cave, and Jim is playing with toys instead of hosting his show. That's brilliant. Anyway.
I'm listening to you.
But I love that when it appears, the cage lands across the bike, because it wasn't designed for the bike, and the bike kind of stuck out. So because of that, there's actually a portion of the cage that's not flat on the ground and actually secure. So Mr. Caveman Strength over here, which works because Caveman Strength, is able to lift the cage up and open, and they can get out, which I'm like, that's kind of cool. I like that. That made me laugh. Like, the bike saved him.
It did. Which that was kind of funny. But yeah, like I said, I did not like how fast they just threw the pink Zord away. They should have just had the green one join onto the Zord first, then had the pink one go off and do what she needed to do, with the pink one go off and do what it needed to do. This just felt really nasty of just, no, it's the pink one, fuck it.
True.
But Power Rangers.
What did Jim think about that?
Yeah, I think it was more along the lines of the problem was they wanted to show off all the Zords so that they would sell the toys.
But we've already seen the Tricerazord. That was in the last episode.
Right, but based on the footage they had, the default Megazord formation is with the Tricerazord, which worked. But the footage of finishing off the monster was with the Green Zord, so...
Yeah, it's like I said, they should
again, they could have done original footage. It just goes straight to the Green Zord and then cut into the existing footage.
Yeah, that's what I was on about.
They can do that, but it looks really awkward when they do that. That's the kind of thing they used to do back in MMPR, and it looked really bad.
Not really.
It didn't look that bad. It didn't look that bad at the time when we were kids. It only looks bad if you go back and watch it, but so does the whole season.
Yeah, but how would it look bad if you just have them go straight for the Megazord with the Raptor on it, and then you go into the fight? How's that look bad? And then you just have the Tricerazord come running out, do what the Tricerazord needs to do.
Because then you would need footage of the Tricerazord riding out, and you would also need footage of the Megazord forming up, which the footage of the Megazord forming up with the green arm is the detachment of the pink arm.
Which, couldn't they have made it? I mean, come on, some of this original footage that they do use is kind of bad anyway, come on.
Yeah, but they almost never do original footage with Zords anymore. Very rarely.
They did in this season.
But I would still make the case, since we're reviewing this episode, it's still a bad thing about this episode. And if you're including the fact they don't do original CGI, they just can't be bothered, that's also a bad thing.
Yeah. Especially in a series where they've established that they're willing to do a lot of original CGI with Zords.
Which is fine. You want to count that? That's fine. Like I said. That's fair enough. But anyway, let's wrap this up because we're cutting into Richter Hammer's X Marks time here.
Which I only had 3 other notes from the mainly to do with the ending.
Okay. So the episode number 5 is called Breaking Black. I didn't see this one.
I meant the ending of the episode.
The ending of the episode. You didn't finish the episode, Jim.
No, well, Coda gets them free and realizes his caveman skills can be useful, and the kid's like, "Oh, there's got the caveman. He's awesome." They get the Dino Cycles. Riley gains use of the Raptor Zord, and they use the Megazord to destroy the monster Slammer.
And that kid is an asshole.
Okay.
That's why I said it. First of all, I can understand why, but it's just weird when he goes, he was like a caveman. When he's describing how well he was in the cave, he was like a caveman. And I'm like, who words it that way? Come on. In that context, of a positive. Normally, he was like a caveman as a negative. What the fuck? Then the kid teaches him to ride a bike at the end, which was kind of funny, I will admit, until the kid becomes an asshole and goes, "You're doing great," as you can clearly see him wobbling and turning towards the cliff. That's not a good thing. Now, he does turn back round and go the other way, but when the kid says the line of "You're doing great," he's wobbling on his bike and going towards the edge of a cliff. That's not doing great, kid.
Yeah, but to the kid's defense, he's talking to a Power Ranger, and he knows he's a Power Ranger, so it's not like he was in any danger. If he went over the cliff, Coda would just morph. He knows that.
The kid doesn't know he's a Power Ranger.
I thought, because when Coda came out, didn't he morph with the kid sitting right there to help the rest of the Rangers?
The kid passed out at a certain point.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, the kid passed out from exhaustion in the cave, and Coda carried the kid out and then put him aside and morphed while he was unconscious.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Never mind then.
Which means, yeah, this kid was trying to kill him.
Yep, pretty much.
Asshole. But you regret saving him now, don't you, Cave Boy?
Hmm.
We're in episode 5.
Episode 5 is called Breaking Black, directed by Charlie Haskell, written by Chiplin with Jeffrey Newman and Peter Weisman.
Which is the one you haven't seen.
Which I have not seen, so feel free to take this one away, Maul.
I kind of like this episode. This is basically the backstory for Chase, the Black Ranger.
That's what I figured, given the title.
And basically, this fortune teller comes walking into the cafe looking for Chase. And as we find out through flashbacks and whatnot, she is the fortune teller who gave Chase the Black Energem after Chase saved her cat, which for some reason, I don't know if this is a New Zealand thing, because obviously New Zealand Kiwi, fortune teller. But apparently she had her cat in a fucking baby carriage.
That's not a New Zealand thing.
I believe she was a Maori woman, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say, A, that's not a New Zealand thing, and B, I will say, your voice sounds different, Mole. But yes, the Black Ranger set fire to the grill, Jim, in 4 fucking seconds.
Yes, there's that.
Again,
and clearly teleports.
Yes, that was a weird jump. I was like, wait, what?
Because the Pink Ranger leaves through the main exit to the dining area, and as she's leaving, where the Black Ranger was doing the burger stuff, she then steps out just round the counter, and he's already there, sat down, chatting up a woman, which then suddenly makes the grill go on fire. Because I don't know.
Okay then.
Yeah, the crazy fortune teller.
Yeah, that was a weird jump cut. It's like, wait, what? He was just, huh? Yeah, so the fortune teller's like... Okay.
Before we find out about the fortune teller rescue thing that Mark was on about, the Black Ranger goes to try to do what the fortune teller asks and tries to save stuff. He falls asleep, the monster walks in, steals some shit, and takes him out in one move. Which means sleeping makes no difference, because, yeah, the second he says to the monster, hey, the monster goes zoom and just gets him instantly. It's like, okay, and the reason I made a note of this is I predicted he was going to feel guilty about this later, and he does, because he feels like, oh no, I should have been more alert. And it's like, it wouldn't make a difference. It was a one-hit thing.
Yeah, I think what they were going for. Okay, first off, the fortune teller's like, you helped me once and you saved my cat. I need your help again. And she's like, I have to, be out of town for a day or something, and I need you to watch my store because there is something here that's like powerful or ancient or whatever. It's an ancient artifact that fucking sledges people are looking for. And it's like, I have a feeling someone's going to come to try to take it, and only you can protect it. Yeah, because he's got the energem.
Yeah, I wasn't on about that. I said that bit makes perfect sense. I was just on about the fact he was blaming himself.
Yeah, I was getting to that. So the whole episode with Chase is that it's supposed to show that he can't focus very well, and there's only one way he ever focuses, and when he doesn't focus, like, shit gets fucked up. And I think that's what they were going for with the whole falling asleep thing. It's not that he fell asleep, it's his lack of focus. If he'd have kept his focus on the job at hand, what he was supposed to be doing, instead of saying, hey, he might have, morphed or tried to do something else, as opposed to he just woke up, he's a little bit groggy, and he's like, oh shit, someone's in here. It's like, hey, stop. If he'd have been more focused and actually guarding the thing, he wouldn't have been taken by surprise by the monster. And instead of saying, hey, he probably would have jumped at him and like tried to fight him or something. That's kind of what they were going at. That he was just not focused.
But like you mentioned, he didn't know it was definitely going to be a monster or anything like that.
No.
Which means he wouldn't have been in there morphed. And all the monster needed to do is look at him and just go, Jum, and he had him under mind control, which
true, yeah,
where the Black Ranger almost shoots the Red Ranger under mind control. That was pretty cool. That's what I was on about by the one hit thing, though. That was like instant Jum mind control. It's like, okay, at least make it so, At least make it so that he can blame himself. He can't blame himself for that. And the amulet was stolen, as the woman said, from the darkest corners of New Zealand. So, Mordor, Jeff.
Marcus.
Okay, Marcus. Unless that was his phone.
That was his phone.
Oh, okay. So used to it being yours.
I know.
But, okay, to sum up that scene, we get a flashback where the Black Ranger saves a baby with mad skating skills, and it turns out the baby was a cat. And then the woman's like, oh, cool, you saved my cat. Here you go, take this all-powerful crystal. And gives him the energy.
Okay, then.
Completely stupid.
Sounds a little bit.
Not really. It established a couple of things.
One of which will come into...
Well, yes, but that's important later. It's established for something later, but it establishes why he was... Well, why all of them were really chosen for the energem type thing, but it's... it's that he's willing to sacrifice himself for others.
Yeah, I understand what he was doing with the thing you just mentioned then of the willing to sacrifice himself, but the scene itself is no less ridiculous. However,
yes, but it establishes what needs to be established for later on in the episode.
Not really, because it goes too long, and B, later on in the episode, the only part when it's useful, which he does it that's on a skateboard. This was on rollerblades.
No, he doesn't use rollerblades. He's always on a board.
He was on rollerblades on the street. He was going down like vroom, like Adam style.
I'm fairly certain he was on a board, but okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not, because I remember him jumping up and doing the cool whoosh and the wheels plant stuff.
Because the skateboard thing is important to the character of Chase. That's why I'm pretty sure they didn't have him on rollerblades.
Fair enough. Just so you know, if anybody's typing to Richter, I already told him what was going on.
Yeah, but because what comes out is that the one thing that he does that allows him to focus completely and utterly is skateboarding. Whenever he's skateboarding, he's like in the zone, as it were, and therefore can focus. And that's the whole point of this episode, is to show that Chase can focus, but he needs to have something to focus on to make him focus, and that thing is skateboarding, which ends up is kind of what saves the day at the end.
Are they going to give him some kind of galaxy glider?
No, he just has a skateboard that he rides around on, just a regular skateboard.
Yeah, it was a stupid thing. It was a stupid thing to establish.
And it's also supposed to establish to Chase that he can, in fact, focus, because Chase always feels, I can't focus. I'm always around. I'm trying to hit on the ladies, stuff like that. And he knows this, and this is his one thing of where he feels he might be a detriment to the team because he can't focus. And the lady's name is Moana, the fortune teller, and she noticed this when Chase saved her baby all these years ago, and she's like, no, Chase, you can focus. You just have to realize you can focus. You have to realize what it is that makes you focus. And the episode is Chase realizing what it is that makes him focus, and the team realizing what it is that makes him focus, and the fact that he can focus.
Yeah, he can't focus if he's skateboarding.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which means anytime he now focuses in a later episode and he's not on a skateboard, it's incoherent.
Unless it's showing the evolution of the character if he's learning how to focus without it, and he's using it to help drive it to there, off screen, like when he's not morphed.
How are they showing it off screen?
Well, I mean, he could just say, because I'm sure, like, when he's not morphed, he'll still have the skateboard and stuff, and they could do something, and this would be actually kind of smart, is they could do something whereby when he's not morphed, he always has a skateboard, and he uses it to train himself to be able to focus without it.
But the thing Marcus was referring to that came back later, Jim, is the monster says to him, I command you, and he spins around on a skateboard and shoots the monster and says, which is cool, he goes, command this, and just shoots him.
Nice.
Now, I will say, they summon the Zord, and we get a new finisher, of the fireball finisher thing, whatever the hell that was. Looks like ass. Their previous one looked better. Then we get Chase again having to skateboard to function, where he has to basically do the mopping and get outsmarted by Cave Boy.
Fair enough.
Which shows he's really stupid and he has to skateboard.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought the skateboard gimmick was interesting. I was like, okay.
I thought it was interesting when every character did it ever in the 90s. Oh, come on, it's literally Michelangelo or any other character you can think of from the 90s when they had to do skateboarding, because skateboarding's cool, brah.
Fair enough.
Indeed, fair enough.
Like I said, I liked it, but fair enough.
Okay. And so, would anybody like to give any overarching final thoughts on the first 5 episodes or on the things from the series as a whole? Feel free.
Okay. Theme music sucks, costume sucks, CGI sucks, the acting sucks. Yeah, this may be the worst series of Power Rangers. Way to go, Saban. You're not even subtle with your secret entrances and stuff. You're not even clever with your naming at the keepers of stuff by calling them the Keeper. It's like, this is like the most stupidest show ever. And I've seen all the episodes of Power Rangers up till now, and this is the worst season. So yeah, if I had to rate this, I would say avoid.
See, I disagree. I think this is better than a lot of other seasons. Yeah, it's got its flaws as we've discussed and stuff. But I think on the whole, I like the theme song. I like the cohesiveness of the story. Yeah, inconsistencies in characters, fair enough. But at least all the episodes feel like they flow together and they go together. The suits, that's personal preference. I'm not a huge... when I first started watching Kyoryuger, I hated the suits. I was like, wait, why do they have a sash? Since I haven't really seen all of Kyoryuger, but I've seen some, and I've seen some of the movies, and it started to grow on me. I'm like, okay, they don't look as bad as I first thought, but yeah, they could have been designed a lot better. So way to go, Japan. And like the Zords and stuff, I never really liked. The CG I don't think looks terrible. I really don't. I think it looks serviceable. Especially for Power Rangers.
I would also make the case, just to counter what you just said, then to try and to counter my one of, I don't know if you know what incoherent story means.
Like the story I can actually follow, and I actually know what's going on.
But when we point out, and some of the faults we pointed out was they then disregard something that happened an episode before, it's completely incoherent.
I don't know if I'm disregarding something an episode before. I know there's some leaps in logic of, well, they should have reacted this way or that way based on what was just said. Fair enough, but I can still follow the story episode to episode. It's not like there's big gaps of story missing.
Well, I thought it was a massive gap how until they mentioned he was a caveman, Cave Boy seemed okay. Then the second they mentioned he was a cave boy, he suddenly turned into really dumb. Like, really dumb. Like, he doesn't know how anything works. And it's like, what? Which, as you yourself addressed, as to try and cover up this bad CGI of how they missed stuff, he was listening to music.
Okay.
He doesn't know how technology works. In the episode when he bashes the phone in, if any technology makes a noise, he bashes it.
True.
And yet he works in a restaurant, as Jim mentioned, as the bush boy, which means he's always on the floor where people constantly have phones.
True.
Yeah, I can't follow what goes on with that a lot, because it seems like every episode, whenever they want to suddenly flesh out this character, they then suddenly completely disregard what happened before it. Like this episode when you mentioned, they established he can focus and he has to learn what that it was, and it's skateboarding apparently. He was functioned perfectly fine in the previous episodes.
Except in the previous episodes, they've constantly showed him not being able to focus, or kind of being lazy. Or people are, some of the Rangers are like, yeah, he's kind of lazy or whatever. This episode, you finally find out why, which I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, they said he was lazy, but in the fights and stuff, he's focused and he's kicking ass. Then suddenly it's like, no, he needs skateboards to function. Okay. Which means I look forward to the next episode that disregards the previous episodes.
Yeah, like I say, character inconsistencies, and I will grant you that. But I think in terms of like episode story, like I said, this has done it far better than a lot of other seasons so far. And like I said, I don't know, I like the characters. The suits are okay. They're not the worst I've ever seen. They're not the best, but not the worst. The Zords, I love dinosaurs. Even I will admit, they don't look that great, but the CGI is serviceable. Keeper sucks. He looks like ass, and he does not have a working mouth. Just no, fuck you. I actually kind of like the hidden layer, and as we discussed, yes, it needs better security. I'll grant you that, but I kind of like that you go through a dinosaur marathon. That's kind of awesome. I'm sorry, that just speaks to the kid in me, because as a kid I love dinosaurs. And I'm like, oh my god, secret lair with a hidden entrance of a Tyrannosaurus head. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we'll also say from watching episode 6, just because that is the next one, I really don't get what the hell does, like you said, like the following of story to the next week's story. Because isn't episode 6 the one where, well, what's her name? The Pink Ranger thinks. Did you say his name was Chase? Where she thinks he doesn't take threats of enemies seriously and he needs to concentrate and stuff, which is the exact lesson he learns this episode.
Well, no, this is he learns this, and he doesn't learn anything in the next one. It's they learn things about him that they didn't know. The fact that he thinks differently than they do. It's not that he's not focusing and he's not taking it seriously. He's thinking about it in a different manner and doing things a little bit differently. And to them, it seems like he's being carefree and being lazy when he's actually not. It's an evolution of this episode actually. And you'll see it when you watch the episode of, because now he okay, well, it's an evolution because it's now that he realizes that he can focus and he has certain ways that he can focus. He does that, and it just seems a little odd to the others because it seems like he's not focusing when he is.
Yeah, they find out that he has a different approach to stuff, and it works. But the reason I say it's inconsistent or incoherent and stuff is he mentions, yeah, but I've always had a different way of doing things. That's just how I am. Which means he didn't need to learn to focus because that's who he was. He literally says that's how he is. Which means the 2 episodes cancel each other out and become completely just what the fuck. You're just making this shit up as you go, basically. It's like, what?
Fair enough. But regardless, I actually kind of like the season. I like the theme song.
You don't have to go regardless like a prick.
Well, you don't have to hijack my opinion like a prick.
Well, you didn't have to go off mine with, well, I disagree, and then to turn around and say all the other stuff that was the complete opposite of mine by saying, because unlike that, I think this. What, was I not supposed to respond when you do that to me?
Would you have preferred I stepped in the middle of your opinion? I let you finish your opinion. I expect the same respect to me. Let me finish it, and then you may respond. I have no problem with you responding to what I'm saying. But don't just step in the fucking middle of it and hijack my opinion when I'm trying to give my opinion.
Yes, that's why I left gaps like we normally do, where we normally, whenever anyone gives their final thoughts, we normally speak as they're doing it, so it's relevant and normally time constrained. Sorry, but we're not supposed to disagree with Marcus in any review. I did not know that. I didn't get the memo.
Either way, I do like this season so far. I look forward to seeing where the rest of the season goes. Haven't actually seen the next episode yet. I need to go do that. Because I think there's been 1 new episode, maybe 2. So I have to go to Nick and check that out. But
since which one? What was the last one you saw?
8, I think, was the last episode before the hiatus.
Yeah, so there have been 2 new ones so far. The next one comes out on the 12th.
Yeah, I was going to say there have been 2, because I saw everyone talk about episode 10 the other day.
Yep.
Fair enough. I do have to catch up on that. But I think they've made some steps forward with this one, and yeah, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at how good this season is compared to some of the other ones. And I like the fact that it seems like they're going a little more original with this one and not staying beholden to the Sentai as much. I'm like, okay, I kind of like that. Because then it doesn't, it a lot of what they do doesn't feel as out of place because they're crafting it for their world as opposed to trying to craft their world around shit that exists. If that makes sense, it's more like they're crafting their world and then taking what exists and make it fit their world as opposed to making the world fit what exists, which I always think that's a better approach, and that's always been where Saban produces his best work, or at least his company's best work. Their company produces their best work in Power Rangers is when they do that stuff, like like a lot of the classic seasons, Space, Time Force, stuff like that. So yeah, if you're a Power Rangers fan, I'd say give it a watch. I think it bears watching, especially if you've watched Suffer Through Samurai and watched Mega Force and Super Mega Force. I think this is kind of a breath of fresh air, personally. Could the acting be better? Yeah, but I'd say so far this might be on par, if not slightly better than Mega Force. Mega Force's acting was really good. I'd say this was definitely better acting than Samurai, because Samurai's acting was fucking terrible. But yeah, I like the series. Definitely give it a watch. Over to Jim.
Fair enough. I agree. I like the series overall. I think it is something, you said breath of fresh air, that's very accurate. I think it is something that's different enough, because the thing is just with Samurai and Mega Force, we're okay, but we just got a lot of the same stuff for 4 straight years, and I think everybody liked this. It was just something that seemed just different. It was a different take, different people behind it. It just seemed fresh and not like, we're doing this because we have to, we're doing this because we want to. And that seemed kind of like what was pretty cool. Like it really just so much for effort of the the locales with everything with the cafe and everything, with all the stuff they've done with the having all these these parks and things they've gone to, having the Rangers be a little more distinct, a little more unique. I think that's pretty cool. Having them a little more character developed, if the development occasionally contradicts itself. Overall, I like the whole season. It's pretty good. Yes, it has some problems. Keeper is a piece of shit, like we said. That costume is terrible. There's some character inconsistencies here and there, and things like that. But overall, I think it's a really good it's a good season. I really enjoy it, and I look forward to catching up on the episodes that I from 5 onward that I've missed so far that I really do want to see. And with that, we come to the end of our look at episodes 1 through 5. Perhaps down the line we will take a look at the next 5 and proceed from there. Thank you two for joining me.
Indeed.
And a pleasure.
Alrighty. Until next time, I'm James Phoenix, and peace.